Hi, everybody. This is Drew from the Nesting Eagles podcast. I'm here with Beth. Hey, Beth, how's it going? I know you've had a busy 24 to 48 hours.
I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
So I had a computer hard drive die right before a presentation for this morning. We had crazy storms last night, which we're going to get into, and my 14-year-old dog found a possum out
Oh,
on
man.
the deck the night before, so every half hour kept crying. He wanted to
Oh,
go out to
no.
the deck to chase the possum, and Ken and I are going to lock him in the barn if he does it again.
Yeah, so a lot going on. So we got a packed episode, so we'll just get after it. First, we're
Uh,
going to start with some updates for the nest, and we're going to start with Jackie and Storm's nest out in Big Bear, California. They are getting very close to fledge, as you can see from the screenshots. This is Gizmo, correct, Beth? I was
yeah, and I think it's
getting
Jackie
wrong.
and Shadow.
Yeah.
Just because I know someone's gonna wanna,
Oh, Jackie and Shadow, sorry.
yeah, correct that. But yeah,
Uh,
Gizmo, I believe, is the one that is getting ready to go, and Sunny is just enjoying the view.
yeah, yeah, but they're getting close, so we just wanted updated on that. That's kind of um big news. So they'll be hopefully fledging soon, with probably within the next week or so, hopefully. So maybe by our next pod they'll be gone and we'll highlight that. But just
But
wanted to, kind of reach back to them.
we're coming up. We're going to discuss some things about how you can tell a male and a female eaglet apart, and I would say from looking at Gizmo that that seems like a boy.
Yeah.
So we have some new interesting information we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll do that. And so yeah, obviously this nest is had some storms, had some tough times, but it looks like it's they're heading towards fledging, which is awesome. It's been kind of a rough go of it for a couple of years for this nest, so it's great to see that these guys are two look super healthy and are super active. If you watch the live cam, and we'll put that link in the show notes as well, so if you want to take a look at it. But it's exciting times at Big Bear, and I know a lot of people are on the watch for
I
when they'll
think they've made
fledge.
the
So
national news now more than
yeah,
once.
yeah, I've seen that at multiple sites, LA news and national news as well, like kind of highlighting that they're getting ready to go. So that's very exciting news. And we're heading into that mid May time free periods, pretty starting into our fledging season as well. So we'll start having some nests in the bald eagle nest watch, starting to fledge too. If we haven't yet, I got to check over my data, but I know there's some guys that are getting very close. So that'll be exciting news.
Yeah,
The
this is
second,
when you're watching from the ground. This is the time where you can start getting an idea of how many eaglets you have in your nest
yeah,
by the fact that they're flapping around. And I think that nest you were talking about how they've had bad luck, and I know one thing you've always said to me is that eagles are really resilient,
yeah.
and I think that nest kind of identifies that behavior. They just keep coming back and trying again.
Yeah, it seems like that's just from, reading the comments about this nest. It seems to be they are kind of an underdog nest, and I think
Yeah.
people tend to get drawn to that, and I think I'm drawn to it as well. I like the nests just from the ones that I've observed, in Wisconsin and whatnot. I usually pick the nest that maybe had a little rougher stretch, and I think it's very interesting. And you always want those underdog nests that just haven't, for whatever reason, had really bad luck. To see them succeed into fledge, so that's really exciting. We're excited to see them, and it should be exciting once they fledge. And our second one is the Trumpelo nest in Wisconsin, and we'll get into it a little more with what happened with Bess area and some other areas in the program. But Trumpelo up near the Mississippi, in the Minnesota border, got whacked pretty good with the storm yesterday. So this is just some footage, some
They got
screenshots of,
tiny hail compared to some
yeah.
parts of the state.
Yeah, but this mom, Mrs. T is amazing mom. I gotta say, she has
Yeah.
done a great job being basically a single mom. Beth, maybe we can just go over a little bit about what's going at this nest as far as the Mr. T. Um,
Yeah. So, well, Mr. T has been seen. He actually spent some time at the nest. I don't recall what day. It was in the last couple of days. In the last couple of days have been kind of a blur. Um, for me. I'm sure for the Eagles too.
yeah,
Um, but she calls him in when she has fish, and he flies over, gets the fish,
it's
and
the
takes it over to the other nest.
yeah,
So she's communicating with that nest, and she is helping to feed and keep that nest alive. We don't know how many eaglets are in it, but this is a cooperative nest or
cooperative,
um,
yeah,
it's a nesting situation because there are two nests, there are two females, and there appears to be one male, and the assumption is that he is the father of the eaglets in both nests. So this nest had three eaglets in it. Mom took off on a sort of a rainy day. It was just a stretch of rain to go get food. And the two younger hatchlings just were nowhere close to thermoregulating yet and got cold and
yeah,
unfortunately expired. So she is still raising her first hatched eaglet, and here she is sort of mantling, covering her chick while the hail comes down.
yeah.
Uh,
So there was some crazy hail.
yeah.
I think you guys had even bigger size one, but did you have close to golf ball size? I think I heard.
We had quarter size by
Quarter size. Okay.
me. This looks like it was quarter sized
Yeah.
or a little bit larger, but there were people with golf ball, ping pong ball, tennis
Yeah.
ball, ridiculous size hail coming down. And it's isn't the first time this season, so the storms seem to be getting stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And this is basically she's acting as an umbrella for her baby, and
Yeah.
that's keeping it out of the elements. So it's one of the things that the a good adult parent bald eagle will do is protect it and act as that protective area, partly because they're bigger, they can regulate their temperatures, and also they have the waterproofing with their feathers, with adult feathers, rather than these little ones that may or may not. I think I'm trying to think. This one is might be right on the cusp of that, but I don't think it's gotten its flight feathers in yet, so it's
No.
probably not
Yeah.
at that point yet. So, but it's progressing, and just an interesting nest. It's very intriguing.
I can't wait
Yeah,
to read more from, whenever RRP has the chance to
yeah,
really investigate it, what the dynamic is truly going on here. It will be very, very interesting. And I don't know if it was someone at RRP or someone else who posts on Facebook, but they called Mrs. T a mombrella
yeah,
for protecting her.
yeah. That's a
I thought that was
good
cute.
expression. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah, yeah. So, that's just another picture of her with her head down.
You can
Yeah.
see
So
the hail sort of bouncing around in these just three quick captured photos.
yeah, so it's been pretty crazy. So we'll get into what's been going on in Wisconsin and in your area. I'll let you talk about what's
Oh,
occurring.
well,
Yes,
this
yes.
is a flip side of the state. This is a nest along Lake Michigan. So there's a bluff there, and this nest, we had a bald eagle's nest in a white pine, which is one of their favorite trees. I think, white pines can really be brittle
Yeah,
sometimes.
they're a soft wood, so
Yeah.
they can come down a little bit easier than some of the hardwood woods. So yeah,
So, this is just a part of the tree that snapped off. Yeah, there's the upper part. So, that wind had to be pretty strong to snap that tree at that point. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the nest was in that half. And these photos, I just want to say they are Beth P.
yeah.
Um, and She was great. This is on private property, and the neighbor to the property let her know right away. We have great relationships with the people that we work with. We really appreciate what they let us do in being on their property and observing nests. So she let her know right away that the nest was down, and it got too dark last night. None of us could get over there. Beth P was out there by I think 6 a.m. and she had to search for the eaglets, but she did retrieve two bodies.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that can be positive about this outcome is if the nest was going to come down, those I don't think the eaglets suffered. They
No.
were just it was over with very quickly for them in that fall.
Yeah, as you can see from this tree, it would have been quite a fall. The eagle nest, most of them are in very tall trees, and yeah, I think that's one of the positives is that they didn't suffer on the ground. They were probably killed instantly just from the distance. So it's unfortunate. It's happened a lot. We've seen it a lot at the nest cams too, as well. It's been a couple that have fallen down, and it just seems like as we go through, it's probably something to do with climate change. Just the
We're,
storms are getting stronger and stronger, and
yeah, we're
it's
losing a
gonna
lot of
be.
trees this year.
Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately with the nature of bald eagles, with them building these heavy nests, and a lot of times trees that are partially dead, or white pines, which are the softer wood, you have these problems. They'll come crashing down, and luckily, most of the time it's in the off season, when there aren't eaglets in there, but it's occurring more. We lost another one in my area in the southern, more the southern western area. We lost one as well that had a couple eaglets in it, not from this storm, but previous storm. So it's occurring more and more. It's a bummer, but it's just something that Eagles are going to have to deal with more and more, unfortunately. So,
This is going to be interesting to see where they rebuild, like
yeah,
if they move to a neighbor's house or what not. I know it's going to be hard for the watchers because they've developed a relationship with the people
yeah,
here. Um,
yeah.
but
There's
it's
no going back from that tree. That's not.
no,
You can't build a
it
nest
is
in that one. No.
yeah,
So,
it's gone. But the neighboring tree there, I don't know if that's a possibility. But this was an incredibly difficult nest to see, and they only just caught the glimpse of the fuzz of a baby
yeah,
head last week, I believe it was, and so they knew there was one. But then they retrieved two bodies this morning, so there was more than one in the nest. And this nest has been around for a long time. This is this used to be a flyover nest until our watchers on the ground were able to get eyes on it. But again, because lots are narrow, the trees are tall, it's very difficult uh, to monitor the nest. But I really feel bad for Beth P that she had to do her chore. You know, we ask a lot of out of volunteers, but we don't really ask them to do that. But Beth very willingly did it, and I just really appreciate her so much. And I know her partner on this nest really, Robin wanted to be there with her, but was unfortunately out of town. Um, and Robin has had a couple of bad lucks nests this
yeah,
year. So yeah, this it's of our area. We have I was telling you earlier, we have 40 nests, and some of them there were three that we knew weren't really going to be occupied. They hadn't been last year, so we were expecting the number to drop. But right now we're at 30 nests, so um, that's a big drop, and three of them have been due to either the nest being blown out of the tree or the tree being lost altogether.
yeah,
But one of the nests, they immediately started rebuilding in a neighboring tree. So, and they are really almost ready for next season.
yeah.
So they didn't let any dust settle on them. They started building a new home and building a new nest.
which is great. That's a good sign that they'll be back strong, and you know that goes into just why bald eagles are so amazing with that. They just kind of just keep going,
So
even with these strategies happening. So
the nice thing too about this nest is that the homeowners do keep an eye on it. And I know you and I talked about this earlier, but I just suggested to Beth, leave the bodies where they can be seen by the eagles
yeah,
if, they come by. And they were buried, and both eagles were present while the eaglets were being buried. So um, I don't know why that kind of ties it up a little
yeah,
nicely for me. The homeowner was participating and is a minister and gave them a lovely burial. So it's always good to know that the adults um, survived. They got out of the nest in time and weren't hit by a flying branch, and we'll come back next year hopefully and try again.
yeah. And that's brings out another point. Like um, if you do have a situation where you come across dead eagles, please check with your local DNR or Fish and Game or whatever your state is called, whatever they call that governmental group to check and see. It's kind of getting to the point, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, is that when there is a dead eagle, our DNR is recommending that we bury it now. In the past, they would pick those up, or they'd go out to Colorado to be um, distributed to some of the native tribes for some of their stuff that they do with feathers and eagle parts for their ceremonies. But at this point, in a lot of cases, I think they're completely full too, just because of, which is a good thing. It means the eagle population is
Yeah.
so high that they don't need to do that anymore. But just make sure you check because there are laws in place. You're not actually supposed to have in your possession eagles or eagle parts or anything like that.
Or
But
of any
now,
raptor.
yeah, yeah. So they're protected by federal laws, but it's just getting to the point where they're recommending that we bury them. So, but always check with your local state to figure out what to do in that situation. So,
We don't make that determination. We make sure we go to the proper authorities because we don't want to get ourselves in trouble with
yeah.
people we have a working relationship with, and nor do we want to get our watchers in trouble
Yeah.
either.
But I think that's a great story that they kind of got a ceremony, they got a funeral,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's very touching. So I'm
One
glad
was
that
quite a
it,
bit bigger than the other, so
yeah,
that was kind of a curiosity too, but I mean, they looked like they could have been sleeping, so no.
yeah, yeah. And we chose to not show it, but it's one of those things that we don't. Um, and it could be a situation. I know we've talked about this with the eagle cams. A lot of our nests just have one eaglet or two. So maybe this is the first hatch and the last hatch or something like that. And something
Yeah.
happened to the middle egg or something like that, which would give that equal distance to the size change. Or maybe the older one was a female, the younger one was a male, which might explain the size difference, but it's hard to say. All right, and to go on to a more happy thing. Hold on, actually, let me just restart this. So we're going to show a short video, and then we'll explain what's going on here. This nest is near and dear to my heart. This was actually one of my nests in Wisconsin. And Beth and Ken were lucky enough to watch some bandings, and we'll explain a little bit more. But let's watch the video. It's very cute, so let's do that first.
And you do hear somebody talking in the background, and he is explaining what we're seeing here, and that this is their view of this lake. And you see kayakers down there, and then that's us. We're all over there on a farm road. Oh, he's saying that branch was weak, but the other supports for this nest are nice and strong. And I just love the way those three eaglets just stare at him.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was saying that when the parents flew off the nest and flew overhead, that all three heads were looking up and watching the parents circling. So they were very aware of where their parents were at.
yeah. And this is just a little backstory. This is one of my nests that I've watched for many years when I was in Wisconsin, and they picked this new tree. The old tree was actually in a very thin. It gave me a heart attack every time I pulled up to monitor this nest because it was it was in a dead tree. It was a very mature nest. They had added to it many years, and finally it fell over in one of the off seasons. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, but they built in this tree, and I was very happy to see them do that because this is a very solid tree. They were able to climb this one just because it's a really nice big alive tree, or partial. I don't know if it's did they say was it partially or was it fully alive? The tree? Did they
I
say
think
something?
I didn't hear him say that it wasn't alive. It was a
Okay.
cottonwood.
Yeah, so I think it was I think it's fully alive, so it
This
does
has a
start to
dead
leaf
branch.
out pretty good. But you can always from my vantage point, I could always see into the nest enough to see these see eaglets. But yeah, it's a nice area. I really enjoy it, and when I get back to Wisconsin in a few weeks, I'm going out to visit these guys, so I'm excited to see them. It's going to be
Well,
exciting.
now they're wearing jewelry.
Yep, yep. And okay, and
So
let's
I just wanted to say though that that was Matt's video. Matt shared it with me, and it was he is a raptor biologist and a tree climber, but I he had a disclaimer with that you are absolutely not allowed to ever climb to a raptor nest or a bald eagle nest unless um, you've done the
professional.
classes
Yeah.
to do tree climbing. See, I'm really tired. And you have to have license and permits in order to do what they were doing. So they are um, a professional group of scientists that are working on a project together.
Yes, and I'll include the link to their website, so if people are more interested about checking out what they're all about, and we'll go through some of the pictures, and Beth will kind of explain as she was there what they're doing. What are they doing here, Beth?
If I could remember exactly, but what this is Gavin and Emily. Emily's the one that contacted me to see if they could get to this nest. And what they are doing is they took all sorts of measurements on the eaglet. So they measured wings, they measured talon sizes, they measured beaks, they took fecal swabs, they took blood samples. So they took some downy feathers off their bodies, and then um, what they're going to do is they're going to test them for contaminants to see how that PFAS, which are the little plastic particles that basically all of us have in our system, and see how they're affecting um, the bald eagles.
Yeah, because they've had a couple. This is I think Beth, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said it's been about a 15-year project. I think they're most of their concentration of they're testing the eagles around. I know Fox River was part. This one is fairly close to the Wisconsin, so that's what they're testing as well around the Wisconsin River. So they're looking at major riverways around around the state and testing them for those particles and other things to get an idea of the overall health of these new eaglets and the nests. And it's really driven by bald eagles being that apex predator. And you know, they sit on the top of the food chain, so everything that's it's coming from fish and other animals around the waterways is kind of going up to them and they ends up in their bloodstreams eventually. So that's
Yeah.
why they're testing them. It's always a good thing to take a look at the apex predators in these habitats because they can give you a lot of information on what's going on and how the habitat is doing health wise and all that. So
So he is opening a bag there, and so what they were doing is I think this one was done, and they put it in the bag, and Matt, who is up in the tree at the nest, then they hook it to a line, and he draws the bag up, and then he deposits the eaglet back into the nest and takes the next eaglet and sends it down. Um, so they were very efficient, and the eaglets were none the worse for wear. I did get to help put one in a bag, so
yeah.
I held the bag.
Yeah, and just to let you know, like if people are concerned about this, these guys are professionals. They've done it a lot, and they're how long would you say they were out of the nest? Maybe
Oh, it was not very long at
yeah,
all.
10
It,
minutes, maybe
I
20,
think probably 15
15. Yeah,
minutes, you know.
yeah,
I mean, they did quite a few things with the eaglets. I'm not sure what all entirely. I mean, the first one was weight. Weight was being done as they
yeah,
brought the eaglet over.
yeah.
So it was in the bag, and they had a scale, and they just held it up to get the weight um, on each bird. And then they determined that which I thought was pretty interesting. I believe it was Sean from the Department of Natural Resources who said that talons grow the fastest of any body part on an eaglet, and that usually you can tell a female from a male based on the size of the talons, in which the female is going to have um, larger talons than the male. So that was something new to me, and I
Yeah.
love learning new things. So it was great just to hear them
Yeah,
talk about it.
that's probably that's a great tip for, you know, if you are a watcher of nest cams, that's kind of the view from what the climber had is really a nest cam view. So it might make it if you use that little factoid, it might make it easier to identify which ones are the male and which one are the females in the cams on the cams. So looks like
And then
they're probably measuring the size of this eaglet. That's what it looks like
I
here.
can't see
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, it's the beak. It's something having to
Oh,
do
they
with
looking at the
the
beak.
beak.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honestly, it was late in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and it again, I need to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's this is 2 hours away from our house, so we got there. One eaglet was already back up in the nest, and this was the second one. And I think both of us, once they left, we just wanted to sleep in the field. But
Yeah.
uh, but Sean did say a couple of other interesting things. He was telling some other people that were there that the this is the biggest that these once they're ready to fledge, it's the biggest those birds will ever be, because which is something that we know, which is just it's amazing how big they are, because they've just been sitting in the nest gorging
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
everything mom and dad bring to it. So but it was nice to have him confirm what we visually see and believe from watching
Yeah.
from the ground.
Yeah. And we'll
So,
go
and
through.
he's the toxicologist, the person from the DNR.
Yeah.
So, and this is just them continuing, and Matt is up there. You can just barely see
Yeah.
him there on the left of the nest. So he's just waiting for the next eaglet to be brought back up. He can see the lines dropping down there, so that's how they were bringing the eaglets up and down
Yeah.
from the nest.
Yeah, and as you can see, this nest is really wedged in there. There is a little space in here, and a little bit. Another little story about this nest is the old nest. I was monitoring the nest, and I saw like these little birds kind of like going
Hmm.
through. And what some of the little birds actually do, I think it was a blackbird or something, or some of the sparrows do it as well, is they will actually build a nest in the eagle nest, like at the bottom in the little crevices. And it's kind of like you're the enemy of your enemy is your friend. So, these are smart little birds because nobody's going to attack that. Like, the Coopers or Sharpies or anything that targets birds. And they're not going to mess with an eagle. So I thought that was really funny and smart to put your nest in there. So throughout the season, I'd see him kind of going in there, in and out of the nest. So it's interesting to see the kind of
I
the
remember you
yeah.
telling me that years
Yeah.
ago because I called you saying, I think there are other birds living in this nest.
Yeah, it's
Um,
funny. It's funny how they do that. So there are some gaps as you can see, and there was gaps in the old nest as well. So it's not completely packed down, but it might eventually get there, but it's not at this point.
it's funny how some of those birds are regular nest um, builders, but they will almost become cavity dwellers in a
Yeah.
bigger nest like that to just take advantage of it.
Yeah. And I know you were saying when you showed me this one, the eaglet was looking up at you like,
Yeah,
doing to me.
yeah. Can you get me out of this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's Emily holding on to the talons, and again, that's Gavin. So um, they're two biologists. I think they're both biologists. Oh no, Emily is an immunologist. Oh, this is a new word for me. Oh, I'm not even gonna try to say it. But she's actually w with the Field Museum in Chicago. So I have been getting so many spam calls lately, and she called me, and I started to see the text of what she was saying coming up on my phone, and she's saying bald eagle tagging and wanting to do some nests in the area,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I should take this, and
Yeah. Yeah.
um. And I thought she was funny because she said, yeah, she looked at the list and she's like, you were a volunteer, so I figured you'd answer your phone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because my number is old Rhode Island number, so she told me
mm.
she's like, "That's why I didn't call you first." But I got in touch with her because this is my area nest, obviously. But Beth and Ken were gracious enough to make the trip over, and I think hopefully you guys had fun. It seemed like you did, and a
Oh,
good
sure.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's always interesting to see people like this working who are dedicating themselves to
yeah,
what's happening with contaminants in our environment. And, I think back, if you had your life to do over again, what would you do differently? And who knew I would ever be doing this with you. And,
yeah,
this was, like I walked into a trap and now I'm stuck. No,
yeah.
just
No,
kidding.
no.
It's fascinating, and I love the eagles and raptors, and and if I were better at science, or I thought I could be better at science, I might have done something differently, but it was not a beloved subject of mine.
Yeah, yeah.
But Emily, all of these people are incredibly impressive with what they know and what they do and how efficient. You can tell they've worked together for a long time. They were extremely efficient.
Yeah, yeah, and it's great that we could help them out. I need to talk to them as well, and we'll get updates, and hopefully we can highlight them on the pod some more of what's going on, what the data is showing as well. So I think it's a very interesting topic, and it's near and dear to our hearts. We want these eagles to be healthy and be able to
Thrive.
thrive and not have contaminated water that's affecting them and causing problems like lead and other stuff that's just not good for the environment. So not good for humans
It's
either.
not good for
So,
us.
yeah, yeah. You think about this, like there's a lot of people eating. fish from the Fox River and the Wisconsin River and this lake. And it's getting up into humans as well, not just eagles. So it's important work.
One of the Milwaukee Nest property managers said, "So where are our eagles going to fish?" And I'm like, "Well, their nest is right there on the Milwaukee River." And he just went, "No, they're eating out of the Milwaukee River." And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's and it is a little scary to
Yeah.
think about sometimes.
Yeah. So here's a picture of one of the eaglets and showing off those talons. Those will be good weapons in the future after they fledge. So this is extremely important. We'll go through here. And if there's anything you want to add, Beth, let me know. We're just gonna flip through the
Yeah,
pictures. This one was very interesting. You kind of see they're starting to get develop those flight feathers, and you see the pegs, I guess is the best description of them. I think is what they're called.
they're pin feathers. There's
Yeah,
blood going to those feathers
yeah,
right now to help them form. Once the feather is fully formed, then the shaft is hollow, which helps to make raptors lighter. But right now, with the blood flowing to all of those fin feathers, this is where I start to anthropomorphize, and I think, boy, they could really use some Advil right about now.
yeah, yeah. So, and these guys are um, 5 weeks. I think they said about five
They
weeks old.
estimated
Yeah.
5 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, so once they get to about 8 to 10 weeks, that's when they're pretty much fully grown, have all their feathers, and are able to fledge. You can also see in this picture, look at the tail feathers,
Yeah,
pretty much non-existent. That's going to develop in the next few weeks, and they'll start getting those tails that they need for as basically a rudder for them when they fly. So it's exciting to see stuff like this. But look at those talons. Those talons have they're already there, and I think
it's the talon, each talon is bigger than that head
yeah,
almost,
yeah, and you can
It's
see the beak as well. I'm assuming this is probably one of the females. You can kind of see the females have a little bit heavier beak, a larger beak, and I think this is probably one of the females. There was two females and one male.
correct.
At least that's what they think.
Yeah.
There are some cases where it's not completely 100%, but that's usually the safe thing to say.
I think one of the most interesting things to me when I first started doing this with you, Drew, is I, I had no realization of how much time eagles spend sitting on their rear end or
Yeah.
laying down. And um, I mean, them walking in the nest is like similar to ET.
Yeah.
It's just such an awkward walk, and I'm sure part of it is weight distribution, and trying to get used to walking on something so, well, such an uneven surface too. But it really is pretty interesting, their development. Or, if you never knew it, that owls will sleep face down with their legs straight out behind them. It's the young raptor world is just kind of fascinating with the little specialties that they go through, the things that they do that are unique that you just don't think of them as doing.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it with the bigger birds like eagles and some of the hawks, though not as long as this is a long season. This is,
Yeah.
typically a 5 month process for the adults. So, um, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of luck that has to go into it, especially with the type of weather that we've been getting and just everything. For them to succeed and get to a fledge. So there's another one being held. Kind of see that those feathers, those flight feathers starting to get in there. So and then you can get a good view of the tail too. The tail, it looks rough there, but it'll fill in, and they'll have those long tail feathers to fly. So very exciting through that.
It's a lot of the same sort of
Yeah.
photos.
So
So
all right, with that, think we're all done. Any last words regarding the banning? It seemed
It was very professional. I did ask I texted Emily and I asked her, where they were at. They were finishing up. They were trying to get out of the way of the storms.
yeah,
I asked her how many they tagged altogether, and if I can bring it up really quickly, I will tell you. Um, but again, just they were just so efficient. She said they didn't see a lot of triplets, but some, and they did about maybe 40 nestlings. So
yeah,
until they get back to their offices and they're able to sit down and look at it all, they have to compile all their data. But again, an impressive crew of people. Um, it was very interesting to watch them and the care that they have about the environment and the health on our raptors.
yeah. This video cracks me up. As you can see, you can see the whiteness
Whitewash, yeah,
proofing. Yeah, the whitewash. So.
getting their poop shots.
Yeah, and also I'm really excited because this is, obviously one of my near and dear nests. And they have three, um, so that's just a sign that it's a good territory. They got plenty of fish and plenty of food that they can bring in to, and these guys look great. I think
Yeah.
you had said they mentioned that they looked in very good shape.
Yeah, there was a partial squirrel up there in the nest. Their crops weren't really super full, so I was hoping, the parents were going to be coming back with
Yeah,
some nice meals with them. And the mouths open it was kind of warm that day. It wasn't really bad, but they don't sweat, so they pant
yeah,
when they get hot. But it also could be too, I'm sure that with Matt standing right there looking at
yeah,
them, that is a nervousness
yeah,
or, an agitated sort of behavior as well. So and you can't see it in the background, but there's a tree a little distance away. One of the parents was in it the entire time that we were there. And the other one circled off and left the area. So we had waited around about a half an hour after everyone left to see if the parents would come back soon with food, and then we had a long drive home, so we had to
yeah.
leave. But as we were leaving, we did see one of the parents hunting in the neighboring field.
Yeah, so they'll come back before sunset in that
Yeah.
best circumstances. Yeah, that's not these guys are definitely well taken care of, so no concerns there. So, but all
But
right,
an
well,
impressive program and an impressive thing that they're doing. And
yeah,
all I could say is, I wish you could have been there for your nest. And
yeah, for my nets, but maybe next time we'll see. But yeah, it's always fun to help out, and it's kind of with the bald eagle nest watch, we've kind of reached out into other areas, and our partners in the DNR and other places are very important, and they're doing this research. So it's exciting to be involved. Just a
even on
little
the
bit.
periphery.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but all right. Well, I think we'll shut it down there. Again, subscribe. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button. You can contact us at Nesty Eagles Podcast at gmail.com. You can comment on the videos, or we're on Facebook and trying to get some on Instagram too. So you can follow us on Instagram as well. But we'll be hopefully back in about a week with some more updates, and I guess,
Hopefully some rest.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, we'll have arrested Beth because that's
Yes. I am just fumbling words today.
yeah. Well, you did a great job. All right. Thanks again,
Thank you.
and we'll see you soon.